everybody, my name is Mansal, and today I'm going to educate you a little bit about Eternus, the new product from Neurohacker Collective, and specifically explain why it's valuable, how you can get it for 60 to 75% off, and specifically what I suggest if you are going to utilize this type of supplement to improve your performance. Now, because I have been in the nootropic space for a while, I was lucky enough to have received Eternus early before it launched, and I want to break down, first of all, what it is and give you a little bit of insight into the product itself. So it is titled as Eternus Supports Cell Energy for Better Aging. Now, this is something that I've harped on for the past few years as specifically one of the best tools to improve your cognitive and physical performance. Basically, in order for our brain and our body to create energy as ATP, we have to improve the health of our mitochondria, the number of mitochondria that we have, and how effective they are at doing their job. You don't have to worry about all the science, but I do want to give you an idea of specifically what Eternus focuses on so that you are aware of this whole class of nootropics. So the main objective for Eternus is to help upregulate your cells and your cells' ability to produce energy as ATP for all of the cells in your body to use it. Now that means the parts of your brain that are dedicated towards working memory have improved energy to do work. They can remember things better. The same for critical thinking regions, the same for many other cognitive effects that you are looking for. So Eternus and this whole class of supplements are an entire upgrade of your system in a way that few other nootropics or classes of nootropics actually are. Now, when it comes to improving ATP and cellular energy, my favorite substance of choice is creatine monohydrate, and that is something that I've been taking for 6 years, the longest supplement that I've been taking on and off of any of the nootropics. And it's not something that I specifically feel as far as my cognitive health is concerned, but it is something that has lots of evidence to improve my cellular health. Now the question is, for you as a consumer, as someone who's interested in purchasing Eternus, what makes Eternus a product that is the best for you to take in this class? Because there are others, as I will later describe. There are products from Onnit, there's a product that I formulated myself, and there is another called Elysium Basis, which they all focus on similar concepts for improving your cellular health. So what makes Eternus special or different? Now, I'm a little bit biased because I have had an insider's view into the organization. I haven't been a part of the organization necessarily, but I've helped them with a few things, and as they were formulating Eternus, I had access, I got to see some of their formulation methods. I found spreadsheets, one of which I think is valuable for you to know. There was 414 rows of different ingredient studies and different profiles that the R&D team at Neurohacker Collective had cultivated, and there was over 1,000 individual NCBI references in this document. So it was one of the first things that I saw before I even knew that they were coming out with this Eternus product, and I realized from that point on that they were doing a very thorough job of researching the ingredients, more so than I even expected. Now, this piece of information is actually one of the key pieces, I think, for you and for me, because the truth is most products that have 36 ingredients, which is the number of ingredients that Eternus has, are generally speaking not trustworthy. In my opinion, my perspective, it is very hard to take a supplement with that many ingredients in a way that is safe, because there's so many contrary ingredients, they contraindicate with things you might already be taking, etc. And so generally speaking, I'm not a fan of having so many ingredients, but because of the thoroughness with which the Neurohacker Collective R&D team looked at this product, I have a lot more confidence than I would otherwise have. Now, of course, just because they put a lot of time, energy, and effort into R&D doesn't mean that the product is necessarily safe or effective or anything like that, but it is important to speak about that right away, I think, because I've had a chance to see from behind the curtain, so to speak. I've gotten a chance to know personally Dr. Gregory Kelly and Daniel Schmackenberger, who are on the R&D team at Neurohacker Collective, and not only their level of integrity is very encouraging to me, but also their depth of knowledge helped me understand things that I couldn't have understood before working with them. Now, I received this Eternus sample bottle before it was out so that I could try it, and I want to share my experience with you. And first, I want to give you a disclaimer that I want you to properly set expectations when it comes to this product. A lot of people, a lot of reviewers might create hype for you, might tell you it's the greatest thing ever, and I want you to understand at a physiological and biological level that improving your cellular health, generally speaking, doesn't have the same subjective feeling that many other substances do. You can have a cup of coffee and you instantly realize that you are on some type of stimulant, some kind of compound that's altering your neurochemistry. Now, with a cellular improving nootropic like Eternus, you don't necessarily have that subjective feeling. So I just want to put that out there for you so you have realistic expectations going into this. I hope that you, if you followed my work before, you know that I'm not going to hype something that doesn't exist, and I want to set clear expectations. That being said, when I tried Eternus for the first time, I tried a half dose, 4 capsules, and I did that in order to test if my body could handle all these ingredients, if things were going to be okay. And I did notice subjectively a deeper sense of presence from that half dose, and that actually was amplified when I took a full dose. So I said this in other posts that I have done on this topic before, but if I had to describe Eternus in one word, I would call it presence. It is presence. It has helped me to achieve presence. Other than that, I don't have a tremendous number of subjective experiences, and maybe I'll create a video in many months from now when I revisit how I feel after taking the Eternus product for a longer period. Now, of course, there is some chance of side effects, maybe bloating. There is a gram of creatine that's in the product, and creatine sometimes has a side effect of increasing bloating and gastrointestinal distress. I don't know if that's really common among people who take Eternus. My bet is that it probably is not, and you probably should be fine, but it's just something that I wanted to note anyway. Of course, the final piece is you never know how your unique chemistry is going to interact with ingredients. There's 36 of them in Eternus. Really, it is unknown how you specifically will react and what side effects you'll have. So my suggestion is be very aware. Start as I started, half of a dose or even less, and then work your way up in order to start seeing some results with Eternus without the risk. Now that you understand a little bit about Eternus, I want to give you some comparisons, some other products that are on the market for improving cellular energy, and give you some context as to how they measure up. Now, the first is nicotinamide riboside and nicotinamide mononucleotide, NR and NMN. And these two are darlings of the biohacking and anti-aging community right now. They are specifically nootropics or compounds that can improve levels of NAD+, at least in some studies. And most recently, Joe Rogan and Dr. David Sinclair talked about NMN and NR, and this led to a real increase in the level of interest in these compounds. Now, the problem is these compounds are incredibly expensive if you're taking them on a daily basis, and one of the things that I found so valuable from working alongside the Neurohacker Collective was understanding from a literature perspective how NMN and NR are virtually identical, or there might not be that much of a improvement compared to other precursors for NAD. And specifically, I'm talking about L-tryptophan, which improves NAD plus through the de novo synthesis pathway, and then nicotinic acid and niacinamide that can improve NAD plus through the price handler pathway. Now, both of these things I learned from the Neurohacker Collective. Both of these ingredients are in Eternus. So to suggest that Eternus is, formulated with the NR and NMN conversation in mind is important, because I think for a lot of people who may have seen the literature, who are interested in anti-aging and longevity, in order to go for NMN and NR, you're spending a lot more money than perhaps you need to be, and that is one of the arguments that Eternus makes. Well, let me rephrase. I won't put words in their mouth. I'm not suggesting that Eternus or the Neurohacker Collective are trying to make an argument, but that's something that I've learned that gives me some context for how I view the product compared to some of these very popular things like NR and NMN. The second product that I want to compare is Onnit's Total Mitochondria, and there are 3 ingredients in this, CoQ10 and PQQ, which are both helpful for improving the mitochondria. They have studies of them working together. There's some evidence that they might have a synergy. And the third ingredient is resveratrol. Resveratrol is a polyphenol that is found in red wine, found in grapes, found in many different vegetables and fruits, but it is primarily a nootropic or compound that is known to improve what Dr. Sinclair called xenohormesis, which is it has a hormetic effect on your body and thus helps to improve mitochondria. Now, the servings of Onnit's product is $1.70 per day, which is relatively expensive but not too bad. Now, the problem is it is a relatively small number of ingredients. It is valuable, but you might be leaving something on the table by going with a product with only 3 ingredients. Now, ordinarily, I would say that something with 3 ingredients and 3 good ingredients is probably a good choice. So if you feel that you are not interested in something like Eternus that has 36 ingredients, I can see where you might find Total Mitochondria to be valuable, but as I will explain, there is a way to get Eternus in a comparable price range as the Onnit Total Mitochondria. Now, the third and final comparison is with Elysium Health's product called Elysium Basis. And Elysium Basis is a combination of pterostilbene and nicotinamide riboside. This is one of the few nootropics that has a legitimate human trial. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it ranged from 40 to 90% increases in NAD+, but based on the dosage, if I remember correctly. Now, this ordinarily would seem like a huge win. I saw Rhonda Patrick share it, I shared it myself, and I found that the Elysium Basis had some merit to it. But again, as I started to interface more with the Neurohacker Collective and with the R&D team, I started to learn specifically how these products started to break down. One thing they said to me is, we don't care necessarily about NAD+, but we care about what it helps people to do. Now, the most urgent thing for many of you guys, the biggest stumbling block that I think a lot of you guys have is the price. And I know a lot of people had a problem with that with Qualia, the first product that they had, and I wanted to share with you a method that I am going to use, have started using, and something that I've been talking about for many years that I think will help you to get the Eternus product much cheaper, much more affordably, but still see many of the benefits. So if you look at the face value of Eternus, it is $159 for 30 days, and that comes out to about $5.30 per day for Eternus. Now, that is quite expensive, more expensive than any of the examples that I've mentioned before, but that's not the end of the story. So a couple of things are really important for you as you go into taking any kind of nootropic, and one of the things I've talked about is cycling nootropics, and that means rotating the types of nootropics that you're taking so that you don't develop a tolerance, you don't have any problems with taking the same thing for years and years and years. Now, during the week, I suggest cycling different stimulants. Don't drink coffee every single day. Try and maybe have it twice or 3 times a week. Use nicotine or phenylparacetam or some of these other substances that are interacting with the brain in different ways throughout the week. And that is something that I've talked a lot about. Now, what I haven't talked about is doing the same type of thing for the cellular energy type of products. And I tend to do that myself with creatine, for example. I will take it for many months, and then I'll stop taking it for some months, and then I'll take it for many months. So with something like Eternus, the same class of compounds that improves cellular health, it is valuable to use some cycling protocols on a monthly basis. So my suggestion is to start off months 1 through 3 using Eternus, and then months 4, 5, and 6 cycle off of Eternus altogether. So you'll be taking 3 months on, 3 months off, and then do that again. Now, this completely changes the cost dynamic for you over a 6-month period, over the whole year, and it makes it easier on your wallet. Now, in order to do this, I suggest you sign up for the subscription where you will save 50% on the first order, so it's about $79. Then for months 2 and 3, you maintain the subscription price at $139, and that equates to, over a 3-month period, a much lower. You're paying $3.97 per day. That's much more in the range of some of the other products. It's still a bit high, but it makes it cheaper for you over a 3-month period. Now, if you really measure it on a 6-month timeline, because you're going to take off months 4, 5, and 6, that actually comes down to about $1.99 per day. Now, of course, that's 3 months of not using the substance, but it is something for you to consider. You can really reduce the price on a per day basis over 6 months if you cycle on and off, and I think you will get a significant number of benefits of using it for many months at a time, helping to improve your cellular health, helping to upregulate some of the pathways to detoxify as you need to, and then doing that intermittently. Now, I know a lot of you guys in the review section are gonna have a heyday laughing about that kind of protocol. Yeah, make it cheaper because you just don't take it. But the truth is, I have a specific physiological reason for doing that. The body is always seeking homeostasis, it's always seeking a set balance point, and if you take everything for a consistent period of time, then it can create problems or less effects than if you had a cycle over many months. So again, I do this with creatine, which is a similar type of compound. In fact, it's an ingredient in Eternus, and I just believe that it makes it a lot more accessible for some of you, and I hope that it helps. Now again, if all of that's not valuable enough, you can use the code Denton, D-E-N-T-O-N, and you'll save another 15% on your order. But really what I wanted to do with this video, as long as you can see, is give you all the information you need to make the decision yourself. I don't want you to feel pressured. I don't want you to feel like this is a nootropic that's going to make everything in your life better, but it is something that I've found useful. I have really appreciated understanding how it was formulated from the R&D team, and I think that you will appreciate this whole new class of substances that, in my opinion, is far more sustainable, far more valuable for upregulating every aspect of your being, and not just providing a dump of stimulants that is going to lead to a crash later on. So anyway, hope this has been useful. I hope that you find all the details in the links below, and I will talk with you soon.